Is this just a sign of profit taking after this year's rally, or is there more volatility and pain to come in 2025? Steve Grasso, what do you think? You're a big believer in seasonality, and where is it?
Yeah, so if you think about it, though, what did the market do from the election? We had tremendous amount of uncertainty. We pulled forward a rally. Market was up basically 8%. Bitcoin up 35%. So where do you go from here? I think everything gets pulled forward. So January, usually, what's the dynamic? January, half the month is positive, half the month is negative. So you flip a coin on that one. You have a new president coming in, lower regulation, lower taxes, pro-growth. So where do we go for here in the market? Higher. And if you think about where we started from in October, we had no clue, or I should say September, we had no clue where rates were going to be. So we had that surprise 50 basis point cut. Then the markets rallied, and then the market said, oh my gosh, let's hold back on the election. We have no clue where anything is going to fall. So let's just see where the chips are going to lie. The market said, let's buy everything and anything and everything. And then who pressed pause on the rally? Powell. So when you start to really sit there and say, let me pull the reins back on the rally on the bulls, that's where we're at.
Yeah, January 20th, obviously, is a big date, Inauguration Day. And we are just about 10 basis points away from this year's high in terms of yields on the 10-year Treasury. I mean, that can't be overlooked either.
Yeah, and I think that's what investors have been looking at, right? So when you look at post-election, I think you bring up a lot of really good points here, where all of a sudden there was a lot of this broadening and this breadth in the market, and that quickly reversed, right? Everybody had this risk-on rally. They went right back to the Mag 7. But we are likely looking at this higher for longer rates. They're not going to come down as fast as everybody hoped. And that's really where you're seeing the market today. People are selling the Mag 7, which means they're taking profits from those things that have done really well. But you're seeing a lot of your interest rate sensitive areas. So think of things like commodities, things like oil. Those are actually pricing higher or holding up a lot better in this market. And I think that is what you're going to start to see in early 2025, where I don't think this is necessarily a concern of where the tech trade is going forward. But are you going to see some rebalancing and see some profit taking? Absolutely. I don't think it's a bad thing for that longer term, but you absolutely want to have those inflation hedges. I think that's going to continue to be a story next year.
And Mike, today, volatility, the VIX was up 8%. We can't overlook that on a Friday.
Yeah, I mean, I have said before that sometimes if you think that a rally is overextended, that one of the things that you might want to look for are more of these sort of unusual moves where you're getting, a 1, 2, maybe even a 3 standard deviation move in, within a given day. I don't know that I'm really that concerned about what happened today. We've had a heck of a run, as Steve was just pointing out. I wouldn't expect to see a lot of people pairing their winners right before the end of the year if it's in taxable accounts, and institutions don't typically take them off their sheets, right before the end of the quarter, their winners, that is. So I think I would be more inclined to be concerned about some selling in those winners. I think we're just in a relatively thin period here between Christmas and New Year's, and that could be contributing to it a little bit as well. I mean, if we get too many of these days, though, stacked up, where we get these big moves on a relative basis like we saw today and like we saw earlier, then I would get a little bit more concerned. 2 within the last 30 days, 45 days, not a big deal. But you start getting up to 4 or 5, 2+ standard deviation moves, and typically that correlates to worse performance over the ensuing 30 days.